Hi, this is Attila, and you're listening to Movie Prosecutioners. Let's go. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about another animation movie. Today we're gonna talk about Ghost in the Shell from 1995, made by Mo Oshii. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. It's a Japanese animation movie. And yeah, a lot of people say it's like the reason why Matrix look like Matrix. You will see, if you see the movie, how much these two movies look alike. And I already talked about Ghost in the Shell a tiny bit in a previous podcast. And I talked about the idea of wanting to make an episode about free will before. So yeah, let's combine these two things and let's talk about one of the most crazy movies I ever saw and the most beautifully made movie I ever saw. So Ghost in the Shell follows a troupe of police officers or agents, I would say, who have a very big kind of authorization to do whatever they want. So they have the newest technology and stuff like that, and we have a certain science fiction way around the world. We have it's not a dystopia, but we have a world where they advance a lot in technology, so far that they actually have cyborgs. So for everybody who's not knowing what a cyborg is basically a human being built as a roboter. So you don't have organs anymore. Everything or parts of you are machines. And obviously this movie is doing even more. He's going one step further, and he's asking the question, like the movie, and especially the protagonist in the movie is asking the question, who am I? And obviously we all have asked this question to ourselves at one point in our lives. And but this character is really trying to search for this answer. And let's think about it together. So who am I is I am my name. I'm Attila. Or I'm the one dude that did that at this point in time. Or I'm me because of all of my experience that I had in my life. So if we want to characterize these and make them into a certain structure, we could say they're parts about our physical body, about our genome, these kind of objective parts with whom we've been born, and we kind of shaped it in a little bit, we did sport and so on and so on. But there's the basics of our physical body. We kind of identify with ourselves through that. So I say I'm me because this is my body, look at me, that's me. Then we have memories. I think I'm me because of all the stuff I lived through and I saw in my life. And and then there's some third component, and people may say it's your soul, some would say it's your consciousness. And in this movie they say it's your ghost. And why it's so important to talk about that is because if your body is a cyborg and your memories can be manipulated and changed because they're basically only information, what are you and this question has to face our protagonist, because she's a cyborg, and in the world that she's living in, you can alter memories and make a complete fake life. So if this is actually possible, if you can erase and infuse new memories, where are you? What are you? And it's such a crazy question, because it's making the idea of consciousness and body, it separates them. So there's, in general, a difficult question what consciousness is. So your body and your senses, we already talked about the senses before in an episode, you can receive information, and then you act upon what information you received, and the way you computed them, and the way you thought about them, what you want to do. So this part about the way you compute things is kind of the conscious part, the thing that we have that differ us from the animal, because the animal gets input factors like, okay, there's a big monster, and then it runs away, and the human being is doing the same thing, but the human being is thinking like, okay, hey, maybe I could go in this way or that way, or maybe this is all an illusion, and I could just stand there and do nothing. But this component is kind of conscious and is part of what we think are we, or maybe it's the only thing that can think that we are we. And it's an interesting thought experiment, but the movie is kind of separates them completely. He says, okay, there's a ghost in any way, you are yourself, and the rest of the things you can manipulate and change. And is this actually possible? Is the big question. We can only see the world through our senses and the way we compute that. If we have no senses, why should we put something out in this world? We wouldn't even know that there is world. We wouldn't know that there's words to express yourself, because we never received words, we never saw anything, we never felt anything. So is there like an independent consciousness that would exist if we actually do not get any information at all? And that's a little bit crazy. And this made me think about free will, because freedom is independence. It's like the idea of, okay, you can actually choose what to do, totally independent of what's happening around you. And you have your choice. And if you're always dependent on what you see, on what you feel, on what you're like going through, how can you actually be like having free will? Like, you can only choose from what there actually is that you can see, feel, and hear, and what you have heard, felt, and saw. So how do you have free will? Like, this was a big question. Obviously, if you go further with this question, if you don't have free will, you don't really do things on purpose, and so you can't really be responsible for what you're doing. And obviously this would be a major change in legal system and so on if this would actually be the concept of how we see each other, that we are only like structures of people who are like, got input factors, and now they do actions because of what happened to them. So to make this like less confusing, I'd say, okay, this person was maltreated, was beaten up every day from his parents, so now it's totally normal that he's doing the same thing with other people. So because these are the input factors he had, and he never had like good input factors, he's gonna be like that. That's his actions. You can't be responsible if you can't think independent of what you actually received and what you think is normal and right. Um, Obviously, also the legal system has some sort of capacity to deal with these cases that really don't know what to do, and like they really haven't had like a proper education of any sorts of, respecting other people and other people's opinion and their bodies. So kind of a crazy thought experiment to think that if you separate consciousness from the body, which we don't know if we actually can do that, then that would mean that we would have free will. But if we can't, then most certainly we don't have free will. And if we don't have free will, how can we be made responsible for our actions, which are not like, they're kind of still our actions, but these actions were not, kind of not on purpose. We're not responsible for the input factor that happened to us. And like I remember my cousin. My cousin talked to me, and we talked about like Google and Meta and all these big data pools, like which can kind of see how we want to consume in the future and so on and so on. They do this by correlation. So they see a million, maybe billion other people who do have this impact factor and would buy this product because of who said to them they should buy it, or because of where it was like listed. So my cousin said, if basically you have every information about a person, how it grew up, how this person, like which kind of factors determine this person's life, and like everything, every kind of like little input factor, like even the kind of light that this person has per day, like I don't know, long days, short days, or how this person eats and stuff like that. If you have every input factor about a person, then you can deduce every kind of action this person would do. And that would be crazy, and I'm pretty sure Google and other big data platforms would love to have this information, because then I could like filter perfect products on every one of us. But it's kind of a crazy thing that, if that would be true, then there would not be a thing of surprise. We would live in a world that is predetermined in every way. We just need to get to this point. And actually, I'm quite happy that we're not at this point. I don't know if this is a little bit too cliche, but I think the lack of absolute causality, like that we still have to go over correlation to determine if we're like sick, or if we would do something, or if somebody else would do something, makes it possible to have a chance of going somewhere nobody would expect. There's some certain uncertainty in life, and I really hope it stays that way. I really hope that we can have this uncertainty and actually have a shot on doing what we want to do with life, and that this is not as predetermined as a lot of people think. Because me as well, when my cousin explained it to me, I was like, yeah, kind of, I get what you mean, I get where you're going to, because they already know so much what you would buy in the future. If they would have every information, every kind of way you would deal with the world, they could know before you actually do it. And day is like so crazy, but like the computer program would like anticipate a certain probability, a very high probability of what you would do. And yeah, and I like that this is not certain, but this is like there's room for the impossible or the improbable. And yeah, that's kind of everything that I want to say about this subject. I think you should watch Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell is a crazy movie, and you like start to question like so much shit in your life. It's absolutely bonkers, and I'm really saying just do it. Go into this movie, like don't expect this movie to shoot philosophy every fucking second into your face. At the end, it's still a movie, but it's a really fascinating movie, and just appreciate this kind of way around it, that it's open up so many questions and that you can think yourself about them. And yeah, so that was me for today. I hope you had fun and you are intrigued about the movie. And please let me know in the comments if you have watched it, what you think about it, or like, I don't know, what you think about this episode. Let me know. And yeah, hope see you next time. Bye.